Since Caldera's launch, there's been a handful of things that plenty of players, maybe even yourself, may have looked at it and thought, but why? Well, after an elongated Season 1 here and a Season 2 launch on the horizon, it turns out we may be seeing some more changes to Warzone following the seasonal launch, and some of those things may actually turn out to be solid changes that we really are looking forward to, while others, well, they may not be the best. But it may just turn out to be a little bit more in line with things that we knew, maybe like in Verdansk. That said, as we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. Are you hoping to see some of these changes? Maybe that loadout drop revert change, maybe some cash changes, whatever the case, drop it down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you find it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on the video in addition to a comment for the algorithm. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Warzone, Vanguard, and anything Season 2 related right around the corner. Anything COD related, we got you covered here on the channel. So if you're interested, hit that subscribe button. But that said, let's jump into it. So Caldera dropped in December, and with it came a lot of things to get used to that were new or different. A brand new map and a whole new world to discover, explore, and learn. Some smaller mechanic tuning like mounting while strafing, different vehicle mechanics for Vanguard Royale, new contracts to add to your arsenal, new weaponry and everything like that. Tons of bugs, glitches, and graphical errors galore, but probably one thing that stands out head and shoulders above all of that is the new change to the loadout system that we have right now that included the inability to buy a loadout drop before the initial loadout event, which may feel like it's way longer than what it took to get it in Verdansk, but while that may feel true, in all actuality, it's actually a little bit closer to the game's start than what we saw in Verdansk, but of course there is that big caveat of not being able to buy it. In Verdansk, it took 7 minutes and 15 seconds total to get your free loadout, and then in Caldera, it takes 7 minutes. Now, that change up though, while technically Raven could argue, well, we moved it up closer and you get it sooner. Let's be honest, you don't. Everybody in Verdansk bought a loadout drop before that point, and even in Rebirth Island still, you can tell a massive difference. You can land, get cash, and immediately get your loadout and weapons that you want, which then creates this divide when we talk about Caldera and if you should be able to buy a loadout immediately or not. This has been quite a hot button issue for almost all players that I've seen in recent times since Caldera launched, and it's created quite the conversation. The only time this was mentioned officially by Raven was during a conversation about a potential change to cash rewards in Caldera, which we'll touch on in just a second, but Raven stated, "We're aware of feedback regarding the loadout adjustments, both for and against the change, so the pacing of this is being reviewed." And that was all they said. Outside of that, it's been mum's the word, and even for an explanation as to why it was changed in the first place seems to elude people. I never really understood why such a major and drastic change to a fundamental bit of how the game flows and the pacing works was made after such a short period of tuning for a system we saw in Operation Flashback's LTM that lasted, what, like 3 weeks or something like that, and then Iron Trials was the only other time we saw any adjustments to loadouts where they nixed those completely in the free capacity and it cost $15,000 to buy. But regardless of how you feel on the issue, people will lean one way or the other. Personally, I understand where people are coming from of like, hey, let's try and keep it this way because it's more true to the base nature of Battle Royale, using whatever the world has to offer you to survive, but I'd refute that by saying that's what makes Warzone special, using the weapons that you want to use. And with no true attachment looting system or anything like that, you already have a very bare bones and limited true Battle Royale experience from that very start. Not to mention the business side of things, their entire platform for Warzone is based on getting that to jumpstart sales to the premium game so that players can buy the game, rank up those weapons, and then use it in Warzone, so not sure why you'd hinder that from the get-go as well. Either way though, we may see some of these changes reverted if leaker the Ghost of Hope is to be correct. Yesterday he tweeted, "As far as I know, in Season 2, the loadout delay is being reverted in regular BR solos, duos, trios, and quads, but is staying in Vanguard Royale solos, duos, trios, and quads, but also at half the time that it currently is." So an adjustment all around, where in some regard, you're going to have it completely reverted back in that being your traditional BR, but if you like to play with only Vanguard stuff, in Vanguard Royale, you'll still get it quicker, but you won't be able to buy a loadout drop immediately. Now, personally, I'm kind of cool with that. Having somebody that's just recently been going back to regular BR, kind of getting out of the Vanguard experimental modes of Vanguard Royale, I'm totally cool with being able to buy a loadout immediately here with this and being able to use all that cash that otherwise would be going to other utility like self-reses, UAVs, so that I could end up using the weapons that I want to use. And then on the selfish side of things, when it comes to like recording loadout drop videos, best classes and stuff like that, I have more time to work with the loadout that I actually want to use instead of wasting every single game 7 minutes or more where I'm not using the weapon that I want to showcase. To me, I think they'd be a good compromise here where it doesn't affect every player and you do have the option to choose kind of which loadout system you want, and overall at the base, even the one that is delayed, it's not delayed by as much. So I think I'd be okay if this actually does come like this, but I'd be curious to know how you guys feel down in the comments below. As for timing, of course, as with this kind of stuff, leaks or rumors, it is just that, so take it all with a grain of salt. But if it does happen, I kind of imagine this would be happening at the beginning of Season 2. Not necessarily in season. This is something that would probably have more larger and long-standing effects on Battle Royale and Warzone as a whole, so I feel like this would be something introduced at the onset of a new season rather than sometime in season. Maybe that's just me being a little bit more optimistic, thinking, oh, I can get my loadout sooner rather than later, but we'll have to see how it all shakes down. Now, in terms of other Warzone fundamental changes, we talked about earlier that cash flow and adjustment that Raven stated they were looking at making for both Battle Royale and Plunder. Almost a month ago at this point, Raven tweeted, "The cash economy in Warzone is one of the core pillars of the experience. With that in mind, we recognize that the current experience lends to an overabundance of cash. We're working towards a more balanced approach. Updates will come as we hone in on a solution." They later clarified when talking about these loadout changes as well, that the cash adjustments that are potentially being made are going to be something that is looked at for Battle Royale and Plunder as well, not just one or the other. But whenever that statement was made, the entire community kind of jumped on it. I feel like it does lend some weight to being a direct result of the loadout change, is that you're seeing a lot of players have an overabundance of cash because we can't spend that on a loadout drop just yet. So not sure if this is something that is just all mental right now, that we're feeling like we have an overabundance of cash because we can't spend it how we want to, or if it actually is something that is giving us too much money by comparison to, say, if we did a direct one-to-one comparison for chest cash rates in Verdansk versus Caldera. That's just something that we as players don't really have the ability to test that, but I definitely think if we had the loadout drops available right off the rip, you might not see that overabundance as much. But again, when it comes to these fundamentals, I'd imagine that they're bundled together. So if it is something that is changing here, I kind of expect it to be tied in with a loadout change itself. And also with so much seemingly rumored right now coming that will change the course of how Warzone is played in both regular BR and Vanguard Royale, with some of the map changes, a new point of interest, some new things pertaining to a new threat of gas. It is possible that Season 2 does hold a lot in regards to some big changes. So we'll just have to see how that all shapes up. Now, the only thing that I also think could be coming here with Season 2 in regards to some fundamentals is an update to the Ricochet anti-cheat system. I'm sure that you guys have by now seen quite a few cheaters come back into the fold with Warzone. It is something that Ricochet is described as something that's a learning tool, that it will be able to learn about new cheats, filter out new cheats as time progresses, but right now we're in that period where it seems like the anti-cheat is still learning or still adjusting to new cheats that are out there. One that I've seen recently that killed me off of a heater was somebody that had all the red flags of cheating, but the difference was that they didn't have a name, and that's something you'll see quite commonly now. That seems to be one that's going around quite a bit, is that when you die to them, it just says that you killed yourself, essentially. So you can't actually report them in-game, and in a more direct manner, you can't pull their Activision ID because it just doesn't show up. They don't have one by what's displayed in-game. So it makes it a little bit more elusive for them, and I'm assuming that's something that will be then tracked down by this, but fingers crossed the anti-cheat also gets an update when we're talking about fundamentals as well, because I quite enjoyed that couple of weeks time frame where I wasn't dealing with a cheater every other game or every 3 games or something like that. So fingers crossed. But anyways, that's some big changes here that may actually be coming to Warzone Season 2 here, and that Raven seemingly is finally making some moves on, if we are to believe some leaks and rumors. So that said, that's where we're going to wrap it up. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this here? Are you hoping to see the loadout drop system reverted back to where it was within Verdansk? Do you like the sort of compromise here that we have, where traditional Battle Royale is going to change back to where it was, but it's going to be slightly altered in Vanguard Royale? Do you think we'll see those cash changes? Do you think we'll see an update to the anti-cheat? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on the video. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Vanguard, Season 2 content coming up here very, very soon. We got you covered with all of that. So if you're interested, hit that subscribe button. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.